Hi, friends. I'm Becca Werwell, author of middle grade contemporary adventure Road Trip Rescue. And today I am so excited to introduce you to one of my very favorite middle grade authors, Anna Rose Johnson. Anna Rose, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
So, before we jump into some questions here, I want to tell you a little bit about Anna Rose. Storytelling has always been part of Anna Rose Johnson's life, especially timeless tales tinged with vintage charm. She grew up fascinated by the early 20th century and now writes historical middle grade novels that reflect her love of classic children's literature. A member of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians, Anna Rose enjoys exploring her heritage through her stories, including her debut middle grade novel, The Star That Always Stays, an NPR Best Book of 2022, and a Christy Amplify Award Winner. And I've just got to say, just a really great story, one of my favorites. And her second novel, The Luminous Life of Lucy Landry, which received 2-star reviews, and also is one of my favorites. Anna Rose lives on a farm in northern Wisconsin, and you can visit her bookish blog at annarosejohnson.com. My first question for you is, how did you get started writing?
Yes, well, first of all, thank you so much. I am so delighted that you like both of my books. That just means a lot to me. So, so I got started writing pretty early on, so early that I can't even quite remember when I started writing. I was pretty little, and it's just always something that I have loved doing. And I even still have some of my earliest stories handwritten with all the misspellings, and they're very fun to look back on. One thing that I did early on was I wrote like kind of fan fiction stories for the Betsy Tacy series, and I had a lot of fun with that. And so, a lot of the stories that I wrote were kind of set in the early 20th century, just because I love that time period. And then I started writing specifically middle grade. When I was about 11, I decided that writing middle grade at that age would be cool, because all the middle grade authors were adults, and I thought I could do it, when I'm that age, and that would be quite cool. And so I worked on those stories a lot at that time. I really began to get more serious around that age. And then, then later on, when I was in my teens, then I started writing actually the first draft of The Star That Always Stays.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. I didn't realize you started writing it that early.
Yeah, it was my first NaNoWriMo project, actually.
Wow. My first NaNoWriMo project was a total disaster. So that's awesome that your NaNoWriMo project was able to develop into your debut novel.
Cool. It had to go through a lot of very heavy revisions, but the original idea was the same.
And I love that you still have some of those first stories you wrote. It's so fun to look back and to see like where our imaginations were at when we were younger.
Yes, absolutely.
So today is a super exciting day for you. Well, the day that I'm going to post this is the book birthday for The Luminous Life of Lucy Landry, your new book. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. My new book is releasing from Holiday House on March 5th, and I am very excited about it. It's a historical middle grade novel, and it's about a young French Ojibwe orphan named Lucy, and she goes to live with a family of lighthouse keepers on Lake Superior. And Lucy, she kind of tends to get into a little bit of trouble, and she really wants to find this ruby necklace that was lost in a shipwreck, several decades earlier. And it was something that her father really wanted to find. And so she kind of wants to solve this mystery. And so, it has some like definite Anne of Green Gables vibes. And it was just really such a joy to write.
Well, Lucy is such a delightful character. She's so imaginative. And I love how, as she's talking, she's imagining herself to be kind of these different personas or these different characters. And I also love the setting. It felt so rich. Like I felt like I was there on Lake Superior at the lighthouse. Did you go to Lake Superior to do your research for this project?
I did visit a lighthouse on Lake Superior toward the end of my research, and it was just really amazing to be able to go there and really get more of a feel than ever for the setting. And yeah, that was just so much fun. And the lighthouse that I visited that time was it was restored to like 1915, so it was really very similar to what Lucy's lighthouse would have looked like. So yeah, that was very fun.
That's awesome. So I always get the question from readers about where the ideas come from for our stories. So what inspired you to write this story?
Yes. So this book first began to take shape when I was watching a webinar about women lighthouse keepers on the Great Lakes. And this was back, 3 years ago. And basically all I knew was that I wanted to write a story with a lighthouse setting. And I thought that this webinar could be, the perfect springboard to, give me more ideas. And it was very fascinating. And I came away with a lot of new ideas. And so then I began thinking about, what life would have been like for children of lighthouse keepers. Since I write middle grade, that's where my mind went. And yeah, so shortly after that, I began doing the brainstorming and research for Lucy. And yeah, the research process for it, that was really, I think, the most fun research that I've done yet. It was just, I love learning about lighthouse life and, more about those settings. And that was just such a joy for me. And I think that it's always fun when you get to write about something a little bit different, and, not that lighthouses aren't, they are somewhat common settings for books, but, not a ton of middle grade books have been set at lighthouses, and it's just something a little bit different. So I had a lot of fun with it.
That was something I loved about it. I don't think I've ever read another middle grade novel that was set at a lighthouse like this. So it was a different kind of experience for me. And I have so much admiration for you and for other historical fiction authors, because I can only imagine the amount of research that goes into something like this. But it sounds like that's part of what you really enjoy about the writing process.
Yes, definitely.
So can you tell us about one of your favorite characters or scenes without spoiling anything about the story?
Yes. I really love all the characters, especially Lucy. And probably my favorite scene with her would be the climax scene, which I can't, talk a lot about because of spoilers, but
love that scene.
Yes, it was really so much fun to write. And even though it was, somewhat challenging, it was actually the first scene that I wrote anything of.
Oh my goodness.
And I wrote just like a few paragraphs when I first got the idea. And, and typically I write very linear. I don't really do much out of order. So it was cool just to get such a clear idea of what that was going to be. So yeah, that was a really, I love the climax. And so yeah, I have other favorite scenes, but yeah, I probably shouldn't talk too much about it.
Well, it would be, that's definitely was my favorite scene. It's a very memorable climax. And I'm telling you, that climax in itself is enough reason for readers to pick up a copy of this book. But I love hearing that you wrote part of that scene first. That's so neat. Very cool. So what do you hope readers take away from this story?
I hope that readers will, come away with the thought that, we all have a lot of courage inside us, and, it's there when we need it, even when, we don't think that it is. And because that is very much one of the themes of Lucy's story, and I think a very important one. And yeah, I hope that readers find that element inspiring.
I think they will. Anna Rose, where can readers go to learn more about you and your books?
My Instagram is a great place. I'm Anna Rose Writer on there, and also my blog at annarosejohnson.com. And when you visit my website, you can sign up for my email list, where I share things pretty frequently. A lot of my news goes there first. And I also have a Patreon that I launched recently. So that's patreon.com/AnnaRoseJohnson.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. I think readers are going to love hearing about where your inspiration comes from and your research, and the fact that this story you started by writing some of the climax scene. That's so cool. But I'm hoping that lots of readers pick up copies of your books today as this is out. Happy book birthday to Lucy Landry, and I hope you're able to celebrate today too.
Yes, thank you so much. I am very much excited about celebrating.